Since I started as a Cricut owner, I'm going to do some videos to show you how something was done in Cricut, but now how you would do the same thing in the StarCraft CREATE software. If I go to images, let's find a pumpkin. Let's see if we have a free pumpkins. That is perfect. Okay. If we have a pumpkin and we take the text and type up the word spooky, and I'm going to even change it to the I love glitter font because that's all pretty. Then, because I'm using I love glitter, let's zoom in. I can add those fun little glyphs to the front and back. So I am going to add just a bracket is actually how you do that. Okay, so now I have this. So I'm going to change the color just so you can see this better. Right now, this is going to cut each of these separately. So those little lines are going to be in there. I don't want that. I want it to cut all one word. So I'm going to use weld to join them together. Then, if I wanted to make this so it was a knockout from that pumpkin, what I would do is add an offset. Let's make it a little smaller. And say apply. Then I'm going to pick the pumpkin and holding my shift key, click on the offset. Okay, so here's the problem. You can only have two things selected in order to do this next operation. And this pumpkin actually has two pieces in it. So I'm going to ungroup because I don't need that background one. So now I can click the pumpkin, hold my shift key, click the offset. And you can use slice. I'm actually going to show you. I did a copy paste, so I have two copies of this exact same design. So I can show you. If I do this, holding my shift key and do slice, it removed or sliced out that, but I have to manually delete that offset and that all those pieces that sliced out to do the knockout. But over here, if I hold the shift key down and pick this offset, hold the shift key down and the pumpkin, I use combine and save subtract, it removes it for me. All right, so that's doing it in Cricut. How would we do the same thing in the StarCraft CREATE? Well, let's go and do the exact same thing. They have a pumpkin, very similar to the Cricut pumpkin that I found. That's in the library. So just go to the library, it's under fall. So then I'm going to hold my shift key down so that when I pull out on this, it resizes proportionally. Now I can go to my text and type in the same bracket, spooky bracket, but now I have to change that font. So I'm going to go over here to my text button, and there's about 1 million fonts that I've downloaded, but I have clicked this little red heart on some of my favorites. So now I can go favorites, and I love glitter is in there. So it would have been better if I would have had this highlighted. There we go. All right, so now that is my spooky font, I Love Glitter. I'm going to zoom in. To zoom in, click on the little magnifying glass, and then you're just going to scroll that thing. Now I'm going to click on the arrow so I can start clicking on elements again. Just like I did in Cricut Design Space, I want to change the color of this just so I can see it better. So I'm going to go over here to this painter's palette and just click on my color, and let's just make it yellow just so it stands out. Right now you can see those cut lines between the different letter segments. So I want to connect those so it cuts all one word. For that, I'm going to go Path and Union. So Union is going to join things together. Now I can go to my effects and add a shadow layer contour cut. And now this pops up and I can actually see the start of the outline right there. And I can use this to make it bigger or smaller. So let's go there. I can change the color right from here and tell it what color I want to make it. And the other thing that I like is, let's say I wanted to do multiple layers. I can do this and you can see it's adding all kinds of other layers. If I do my end color of gray. See, now you can see all the different layers. And I can change the variance. So like if I want each layer to be in 1.25 inch variance, I can do that. Okay. So in Cricut, you would have to just keep adding offsets. This in Create, you can add them all at once. So now I click OK. The offset is actually back here, kind of behind the pumpkin. In Cricut Design Space, we'd use arrange and bring to front or send to back. There's a very similar thing. Go Object, Arrange, and then I could send the pumpkin to the back. The other way to do that would be from the Layers panel. I can take the pumpkin and just drag it down here. So now I can pick my pumpkin, hold my Shift key, and click on that shadow layer. And I'm going to say Path, and I want it to look at the back, the furthest back image, the pumpkin, and remove minus the thing that's on front. And there you go. So that's how I did the same knockout effect in Create. But there's another way you can do it. If I select both of these things, I can go to Effects and Knockout, and I can change my gap here. And if I look at the preview, do you see how it's doing that knockout effect for me? So now I can click OK. And now if I go over to the Layers panel, there's a little arrow. And if I click that arrow, it opens up the two layers. So then I can click on just the word spooky layer to go change the text color. Well, I guess it's not grouped. So then if I want to move them around together, I would say Object, Group. So there's a couple different ways that you can do knockout text. Oh, one thing I should point out with using that knockout under effects, it did take away that little curl at the end. So if you want to keep what's outside, do it the other way. But if you want to trim off everything to your shape, then you can do it this way. And if I wanted to export this as an SVG file, all I need to do is click this export button. And now it's going to ask me where I want to save it. And I have a whole folder where I have all of my SVG files I've made. And then I could say spooky pumpkin. Okay. And then there's even a little button that says make this design space compatible. So I'm saying okay. So now let's go back to Cricut Design Space. If I go to my uploads, I can upload an image and browse to my Made by Sean and click on my spooky pumpkin. And there it is. Upload, add to canvas. So really similar effect. And I'm just gonna move this over here. But now you can see how using that knockout feature in Create took off those little tails. But that's a personal preference. If you know that's what you want to do, use knockout. If you don't want it to cut off those little tails, you would just use the effects and add the shadow layer and then use the path like I did in the first example. Before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. I love to hear from you.